So good to be here with all of you. Good morning. Happy Father's Day. I also want to say Happy Father's Day to everyone. And if you are new and I don't know you yet, I'm Michelle Medrano. I am a Science Mind Minister from Mile High Church in Denver, Colorado, and I am grateful to be here. Thank you. And in my career as a minister, I'm grateful that I got to be here at New Vision Center for 17 years, the years 1995 to 2013. Happy to have been of service as a minister here. So much love. Lots of good friends here. Yes. I started last week with a two-part series about our authentic voice and finding our authentic voice. And so last week we talked a lot about our authentic presence and how to access that for ourselves. And today we're talking about my congruent voice. Once I find that voice, how do I be congruent? But I do want to say that I also am really aware that as we celebrate fathers today, you may not be a father, but everyone has a father somewhere in this universe. And so when a Mother's Day or Father's Day rolls around, for me, I always see it as what's my work to continue to do in my relationship with my father so that I can be a better version of myself. And a huge part of that work really honestly came in the years I got to be here at New Vision Center, because they're the best male people on the planet here at New Vision Center, that's for sure, yeah. There's some good guys that I got to be with and serve with and grow with. And so it's a blessing to be able to do that and to be able to use those relationships to grow. And so I did bring a comic, a picture today that's coming up on your slide of a note, Happy Father's Day. Thanks for always reassuring me that if I ever got kidnapped, they'd bring me straight back after an hour. That was probably what many of our fathers said to us. And just to honor Father's Day, how about a dad joke? How do little pigs wish their fathers a happy Father's Day? With hugs and kisses. Ah, such a fun. That's for all you dads. You can go tell your kids that dad joke. So part of being a congruent being on the planet is really learning to do this inner work and get this sense of that vision from our life, from our inner life, that leads us forward into becoming a greater version of ourselves. I think, however, that one of the greatest challenges of actually living out these principles and actually manifesting, which means experiencing healing and the evolutionary journey that we humans can be on, one of our greatest challenges has to do with congruency. The ability to congruently apply myself to the work at hand such that results actually occur. And it can be confusing to us because Ernest Holmes, who's the founder of this teaching, taught us about prayer, spiritual mind treatment, affirmative prayer, which we've already experienced in our service today, and taught us that when we pray, we let go and we release it, and we let it be, and we let it go out into the universe and move into the law, and we just let it go. And many people, I think, kind of energetically interpret that to mean I let it go and I never think about it or do anything about it again, and I just sit and wait for the goodie to show up. But then we also teach in classes and tell people, because we call this form of prayer treatment, we say treat and move your feet. Meaning, do your spiritual work and keep moving in the direction of the anticipated outcome. That's a little harder to do, isn't it? Because it requires us to get into congruency about what it is we're seeking to experience. Now, I often like to use the example of gardening or growing plants. I am not a gardener, and I don't really grow plants. However, I really resonate with it. So, for example here, let's say that we've decided that we want to grow some sort of garden or grow some sort of flowers to bloom, or we get this insight, I need more carrots. I need to go plant carrots in my garden. My body is yearning for carrots. That's what I was talking about last week, that intuitive knowing That sense of, oh, I really need that nutrition in my body, or I really know that my soul, my spirit would feel really happy with blue flowers. I'm going to go find some. And so we follow that, and we go out, and we find what we need to find, whether it's seeds or bulbs. All the gardeners have really educated me about the bulb journey anyway. And we plant those. We plant those in the earth. And then we stand over our garden. And let's say at that point, we just do what I talked about in the first place. We just let it go. Let God have at it. See you later. Let's see what happens. Now, it may grow because the randomness of nature might cause whatever it is you planted to grow. But what if you went out every day and you dug up the seed to try to see if it was growing? No, that's probably not going to work. What if you go out every day to wherever you planted it and you sat in the soil and you wiggled your butt around just to make sure it was working okay? I do that pretty good, huh, Leslie? You like that, yeah. You might disrupt the garden. What if you just took people out there to show them, look, I planted these seeds. Look at that. Isn't it lovely? Every day. I was proud. My ego said, look, I planted these carrots. And you never did anything meaningful to take care of that patch of garden. You may or may not get the results that you want. What I'm talking about here is that what we want and what we feel this teaching, this faith tradition invites us into is that we can plant seeds of consciousness and they can grow in our life. And we do that planting often out of that inner authentic voice that is the guiding force of our very being that's connected to the divine. And then our work continues to be the congruent nurturing of that idea into livingness. It continues to be that. So in our work, congruent is doing things that are in agreement or are in harmony with that plant. The quality being similar to or in agreement with something. Ernest Holmes, in the glossary of the Science of Mind, tells us that harmony, concord, or agreement in facts, opinions, matters, interests, etc. The secret of all progress is getting into right relationship with the universal, in tune with the infinite. In tune with the infinite order is harmony. Contacting infinite intelligence, recognizing the Father within, accepting the underlying laws of creation, and moving in its mighty rhythm is harmony. Such harmony adjusts our affairs and enriches our lives. We trust that soil when we plant that seed. We trust it implicitly. But we also know that we have things to do to be congruent with that plant or that seed coming into fruition. We have to be also, another synonym for congruent is coherent. I love that. Coherent light is a beam of photons, almost like particles of light waves that have the same frequency and are all at the same frequency, only a beam of laser light will not spread or diffuse. In lasers, waves are identical and in phase, which produces a beam of coherent light. So we become a beam of coherent light. Our beingness has been guided, we've planted the seed, and now we need to be about being congruent, coherent, not being incongruent and incoherent. And I know that seems logical, but here's how we break it all the time. Okay, morning practice. Do my spiritual practice, claiming peace and well-being and love for all humanity and the energy of the universe flowing through me, and leave my home and get in my car and someone cuts me off and a gesture and a nasty word and boom, I'm incoherent. Right then, aren't I? I'm incoherent. I'm out of coherence. I'm out of congruence. I go forward and I pray and I affirm some good for myself, for my life, and an obstacle comes up. and I'm immediately in doubt and fear, and oh my God, it's not working, and God must not want me to have this, and what is wrong with my life? I am incoherent, incongruent. Sound familiar to anybody? It's not just me, is it? Okay, if it's just me, I'll just keep doing this talk for, 3 to 5 hours for myself? Yeah, okay. I was so grateful when she gave me that extra time. I was like, wow, thank you, Leslie. This is the point. And we do this in interesting ways to ourselves all the time. And what we get to do is just like that gardener who seeks to experience the manifestation of that crop, is to apply ourselves consistently. Plant the garden, there's a storm, protect the garden. Plant the garden, there's a flood, protect the garden. Plant the garden, the seed doesn't grow, replant the seed. We know that if something happens, we do our work. We don't go crazy. We don't fall into all sorts of mythical beliefs about the universe is against us and doesn't want us to have it, or we're not good enough, or we're not worthy enough, or what a jerk out there that they hurt me or harm me. We begin to see the obstacles like a gardener that can say, protect the garden, protect the dream, protect the goal, protect with love and joy this heart that seeks expansion in this life that I am living, with love and grace and kindness and gentleness. Yes, adjust. Yes, water the plants. Yes, do the work, stay the course. This is where we metaphysicians, we lose it. Because there's plenty out there to cause us to react to the world, a form. There's plenty that's the opposite of what we think is possible for our world. But are we willing to find ways to consciously and conscientiously stay the course? So we have to remember in this process, too, is that this desire that rises up from us, I've noticed in my life as a religious scientist that there are many times something comes to me that I want to create, and I get about doing it, and I get a prayer, or I do a prayer, or I say some affirmations, and wow, there it is. It just, how wonderful, how easy, how beautiful that happened. And then I think everything should be that way, right? And there are other things that I have been working on since I first stepped into the door of Science of Mind. Things that I'm evolving into, things that are issues that have deepened for me. I like the Shrek movie. We watched Shrek recently, and Shrek, the little cartoon character, says ogres have layers, and I think humans have layers. Our consciousness has layers. I get about healing certain layers, and then it's like my own inner awareness goes, oh, that's good now, you want to go deeper? And then I think, but I thought I healed that. No, you want to go deeper. You want to really heal this. And sometimes we move down into the depth of our being in layers, and it takes that kind of time and that kind of diligence. But have enough times where I've done the work and then the challenge shows up. I've done the work and then the challenge shows up. I might give up. I might say, this stuff doesn't work. I might say, this is too hard. I might say, I don't know if it's worth it. Oh, it's worth it. Do the work, go deeper. Do the work, go deeper. And there are some things we have to do that with. Think about a garden. I have a picture of some plants to show you today. Consciousness is like a garden. Some roots are deeper than others. Some things that we grow, their roots have to go very deep in order for them to get the water and the soil and whatever they need so that they can burst forth into creation. Some can grow with roots that are just at the surface and they easily and effortlessly pop up. That's how we are. That's how our consciousness is. That's how the issues in our life are. Yes, we have to accept that some of the things we work on are going to happen easily and effortlessly, and others are going to take more work. And conversely, if we've got weeds in our garden that are choking out the seed we've planted, A belief that we're not worthy enough, that we're not good enough, that it's never going to happen. A converse belief that weeds' roots may choke out the goodness that we've planted. And we may pull those weeds, and some of those weeds are deeply rooted, and we pull them out and we say, yay! And there's a little bit of the root still in the soil, right? And then boom, it pops up again. But here we understand that every time I pull that root, I weaken its hold. And every time I pull, meaning I do that work to forgive my father, or forgive, or let go, or be at peace about something, every time I meet up against that obstacle and I meet it, maybe for 2 seconds or 10 seconds with anger and frustration, and then I get about the work, every time I get about the work, I'm doing the transformative work necessary to truly change my life. And so we do that, but we also have to watch out for the part of us that neutralizes our efforts. The part of us that sometimes when we least expect it, we just neutralize things. We go about our business and we're not even pushing ourselves forward into our greater good or holding ourselves back. We're just neutralizing ourselves. I love it. I'm scared. I want to. I'm not sure. I'd like it. I don't know. We're neutralizing and we're just keeping the status quo. To neutralize, it means, as the slide says, when you neutralize something, you balance it and make it neutral, like that weighing balance act. And sometimes that's good to neutralize things that aren't working, which is not showing any bias toward any side. That's good to do in many cases. But when it comes to moving forward in the direction of our dreams, our desires, our fondest goals, neutralizing, no bueno. Neutralizing just keeps us stuck. And so it's important to recognize, as a gardener of life, am I choking out the good that I want to grow? Am I not giving it the time and energy and attention that I want? Am I neutralizing it? And if so, what do I need to do to change it, to do something different? And I've brought today 3 Ds for us. They're not Ds that we might like very much, because they tend to be the Ds we don't want to do. And here's the first one. I made the hardest one first. Discipline. Discipline. Discipline is defined as creating a system of rules of conduct or method of practice. It also is well-behaved and self-control, and that's not what I'm talking about necessarily. I'm talking about the discipline of tending to it over and over again. Tending to it over and over again. I was recently teaching a class by Edwene Gaines, the great prosperity teacher. And in her book about the 4 prosperity laws, the second law has to do with goal setting, where you work and create a whole bunch of goals, and then you choose your 12 goals, and then every morning and every night you read those goals 3 times. It takes discipline to do that. It takes discipline to remember every morning and every night. Some of us are really good at that. Some of us have the kind of personalities or the kind of life where discipline is this safe haven for us. And so as I'm talking to you, you're probably going, what's so hard about that? I don't get it. But a lot of us don't. We have busy lives. We get distracted easily. We get on our phones. We get on our iPads. We get on social media. At nighttime before we go to bed, we're watching TV or we're doing something. We forget that sounds like a really easy thing to do, right? Just read these goals 3 times in the morning, 3 times at night. And I've been shocked at how many times I've had to call myself back. Okay, remember we made this commitment. We made this commitment. She also has the discipline. Okay, here's a big one. 21 days of no complaining about anything or anyone. And you go for 21 days, and if you get to day 20 and you complain about me or somebody else, you start over again. Takes discipline. But see, she's talking about a practice that builds consciousness, that builds connection, that builds love. And we react to it that way, as I did too, because that seems kind of hard. But that's what we're talking about, beloveds. We are talking about a person who wants to have the life that they want to live has to be willing to practice discipline. Now, what that means, though, is that we find that sweet spot for ourselves that isn't like the person who says, my discipline is I'm going to meditate, and then demands that they sit for 4 hours every day in lotus position and meditate as their first act. We're talking about, I'm going to meditate so I have more peace. How about we start with 5 minutes, set a timer goes off, you're done, right? Let's start with 2 minutes. Set a timer goes off, you're done. Honestly, the way that discipline builds on itself, and I love the book about habits, Sonic Habits, I think it's called, and he talks about habit stacks, is that getting the habit in is more important than the length of time. So doing that thing every day, even if it's the meditation for 2 minutes, or some people would scoff at that. 2 minutes, I meditate for an hour. Whatever your thing is, doing it every day for a period of time such that it becomes a regular part of the habit, that's discipline. But we sometimes sabotage ourselves, neutralize ourselves, tank ourselves because we start too big. We start gigantically. I've not ever been able to do the same thing every day, but then I'm going to do some big thing for 4 hours. Doesn't work that way. And what James Clear talks about in the book is habit stacking. So think of something you do every day, like probably brush your teeth. I bet just about everybody brushes our teeth. It's not that easy. I mean, it's not that hard for us to go brush teeth. We do. We've been doing it since we were kids. So habit stacking means that I brush my teeth and then I sit down and I do 2 minutes of meditation. So you connect it with something in your mind that you're already doing. And so that's part of how we can bring what we might call disciplines, systems to place for ourselves that really serve us. The second thing is related, and it's diligence. Diligence is defined as persevering, determination to perform a task, conscientiousness. What I do for myself is that to read these goals every night and every morning, I have set a to-do in my items in my to-do list, which I'm always referring to, and it goes off every night at 8:45 and every morning at 5:45. To remind me that I want to do that. My phone will literally buzz, my watch will buzz, something will buzz. I have been known to put something up on my nightstand, read my goals today, read my goals, something big on my mirror. The diligence to know how you work and how you bring things into your routine, and the diligence to find ways to remind yourself, today I choose peace. That's the beauty of putting those affirmations on a mirror. We recently bought markers that we can write on mirrors. So we write and draw pictures to each other all over each other's mirrors. But every once in a while, Ken was studying for a test. So I got out and put all these very complicated math things that I had no clue what they were on the shower for him, because I knew he had to memorize them. And I thought if he could see them on the shower every morning before he gets in on the glass, maybe that would help. I don't know if it did or not, but it was a way that we can remind ourselves of the things that we're trying to remember. There's always a way. But a person who wants to create the life they want to create and has been called to do that has to be congruent and find ways to bring themselves back to it again and again. And the last one is dependable. Dependable. Discipline, diligence, dependability. I choose to be dependable to my goals, to the things I've said I want to create, to the ways that I want to live my life. So for me to be dependable, I've got to do those other things. Just like the garden needs you to be dependable to water it every day, or it's not going to survive. The garden needs you to be dependable and take care of it, or you're not going to have those carrots or those flowers. Dependability is part of what we grow as we become spiritually mature. And indeed, all of this is about spiritual maturity. The willingness to walk the path and walk the path until you get the goal. One of the greatest and finest examples that I've ever seen of that, well, you're sitting in it right now. It's this building. It's this campus. Back in 2008, we wanted to buy a new place. We needed to for a lot of reasons. And I don't know if you remember, there was some stuff going on in 2008 in the real estate market. And I literally felt like a few times as we walked into banks to try to get a loan to buy this place, that after we left, they probably laughed their butts off. Like, you can't believe that church went. Well, we as a community, we were diligent, we were disciplined, we brought people forward from every part of the community, and we performed a miracle. This building is a miracle for New Vision Center. And every time anyone comes onto this campus, they're basking in that energy. And that's part of what we do too, to be diligent, is to show up in places and situations, in communities that are diligent and that remind us of who we are and help us practice these 3Ds. And to be here and absorb that energy anytime we're here and then take it out and apply it to our lives, that's how we grow a garden, and that is how we bring forth the kingdom of heaven on earth. Grow your garden, be congruent, be authentic. Let us do this together. Please join me in prayer right now. I invite us to go within and to just breathe into the breath of life together and to celebrate that right here and right now, the forces for good, the forces that are the God presence, the God energy, are manifesting in and through and as each one of us, beautifully and joyously, perfectly, magnificently. We are that expression. We are that light, each of us. For this energy that is the God presence it doesn't have the capacity to not include certain people. It must and does include and embrace all beings everywhere, including those of us right here, right now, in this space, watching online, in every place on this planet and beyond. We exist together in the presence of God. Knowing and accepting this right here and right now, I stand in that presence and feel its energy as my consciousness and as my word, as I speak my word on behalf of any person who hears my voice in this prayerful moment, whether it be right here and right now, live as it happens, or years down the road as someone watches this service online. I accept and affirm that no time, no space, no barriers can keep the oneness and the truth of who we are from expressing itself. And therefore, we go forward into our lives this day and every day, living our greatest desires, our desires that call forth greater love, peace, harmony, the authentic self of us that chooses to express its creative energy, and that we are open, willing, and able to be congruent and coherent as we go forth to treat and move our feet, to pray and be in action, to love and give love, to be peace and be peace-filled. That we are all of this at the same time. We begin within and we live from without. And we allow ourselves to be these qualities of life clearly and powerfully and magnificently, and contribute to the greatest good that we possibly can in every part of our lives. I accept and affirm that the ways that this is ours to do show themselves to us easily and effortlessly in these days ahead. And that our congruence is clear, powerful, and magnificent, and makes a difference. I give thanks for this, joyously letting this go, letting it be, and so it is.